Hello, welcome to this instructional video for the Section 27H Mentoring and Induction District Support Grant application. I'm Marty Snitchen, a professional learning consultant for the Michigan Department of Education's Office of Educator Excellence. Before we begin, first a brief overview of what this video contains. This presentation should help you get ready to make successful applications for this grant opportunity by guiding you through the vision and background of this grant, including applicant eligibility, giving a walkthrough of the application, and finally, sharing helpful resources to support you beyond what we'll cover in this video. First, let's discuss the vision and background of this grant. I'd first like to cover mentoring and induction laws currently in practice. Michigan Compiled Law, MCL 380-1526, requires teachers in the first 3 years of employment in classroom teaching to be assigned a mentor and receive 15 days of professional learning over those 3 years. The mentor must be a master teacher, retired master teacher, or college professor. Master teacher is not defined in legislation or guidance and thus should be defined locally. The professional learning hours required in this law are in addition to the professional learning that districts are required to provide in MCL 380-1527. For more information, follow the QR code directly to this law. It should be noted that the 15 days of professional learning required by MCL 380-1526 must include classroom management and instructional delivery, as well as experiencing effective practices. Also, since August 1st, 2023, teachers in their first year must receive first aid and CPR training. Teachers are not the only ones who are required to receive mentoring. A change to the educator evaluation law in subdivision O of MCL 380-1249B now requires mentored or coach be assigned to administrators who are in the first 3 years in a new administrative position. This excludes superintendents. This law took effect on July 1st, 2024. For more information, follow the QR code to the law. To support these requirements and to improve mentoring induction programs, Section 27H of the fiscal year 2023-24 State School Data Act prescribed 3 separate grants totaling $50 million over 5 years to support mentors of new teachers, administrators, and school counselors. These grants are the Standards Curriculum Professional Learning Creation Grant, the Mentoring Program Evaluation Grant, and the District Support Grant, which we are discussing today. For more information, follow the QR code to our Mentoring Grants page. The vision of the Section 27H grants is to supplement current mentoring induction practices to improve retention of teachers, administrators, and school counselors by increasing effectiveness of mentors and better prepare them to support those new to the profession. The vision of improving mentoring induction programs aligns with Michigan's Top 10 Education Strategic Plan, specifically through Guiding Principle 2 and Goal 7. This grant will strengthen mentoring induction practices in Michigan by providing resources, support, and training needed for educators to better educate their students. It also will help to increase the number of teachers within critical shortage areas by increasing retention of new educators. As mentioned, this presentation is specifically related to the third grant, the Mentoring Induction District Support Grant. This specific grant gives $49 million over 5 years directly to intermediate school districts and local education agencies, both traditional public schools and public school academies, to support mentoring induction programs in Michigan. This application opened February 20th and closes March 27th. Acceptable expenses for this grant include the following: providing stipends to mentors of both new teachers, administrators, and school counselors, and mentors for those in Grow Your Own programs, purchasing books and materials, professional learning and training for mentors, staffing costs to cover time spent by both new and mentor teachers, school counselors, and administrators dedicated to mentoring and onboarding rather than being in the classroom or performing other job duties, contracting with an education organization for up to $3,000 to provide mentoring specifically for new administrators, and other resources to support mentoring and induction. Other resources may include, but are not limited to, affinity groups, partnering with an education organization to provide mentoring for teachers or school counselors, virtual platform to connect with mentors outside the district, etc. Regarding any professional learning expenses, per language and statute, any professional learning expenses under the subdivision must be in addition to professional learning requirements described under Section 1526 of the revised school code, MCL 380-1526. Now that we have some context and background, let's look at the application process, including screenshots of the application within Nexus. Feel free to pause the video as we go if you need more time to review the information. This grant application will be in Nexus. You can access the application by first accessing your My Login for Business account. You can follow the QR code to that page. You will log in and request access to MDE as the agency and the Nexus site. Once Nexus is listed on the My Login for Business homepage, click the Nexus link. Once in Nexus, from the menu of available applications, select 27H Mentoring Induction District Support. If you do not see this option, please contact MDE-Ed Workforce Grants@michigan.gov with your EEM agreement number to have your entity deemed as an eligible applicant. Once the application is accessed, complete the application by navigating each section in the left menu. Save each page after completing. As mentioned, to find the application, look under My Opportunities. You can filter the provider to Office of Educator Excellence and by the grant name, Section 27H Mentoring and Induction District Support Grant. First screen you'll come to is the document overview. You can get back to the screen with a link at the bottom of the list of buttons to the left. This is a handy place to track the various stages of your application. Notice that after you start your application, it's considered a document with a unique name. The Forms section in the left menu are the individual parts or pages of your application, and the cover page is as it sounds, the cover. There's nothing much to do here, except verify your district's identity in the Entity section. If it's not right for some reason, you will need to contact the Nexus Help Desk. Do not proceed with a grant application if the entity is incorrect. Once finished with the cover page, remember to save and then continue to the Assurances and Certifications. This page will list any language that is necessary for the applying party to agree to. For this grant, standard state grant assurances will be used. Click Save in the top right corner and then move on to Important Information. Important Information page will list general information about the grant and some helpful links, such as to our Mentoring Grants website and resources such as an application template to draft responses and this video. Read through the information and click Save in the top right corner of the page and next select Review Grant Selections. Review Grant Selections page is where you will select whether you are applying for the grant. It should be noted that you must choose Apply Now and click Save for the budget pages to appear. If you do not save your selection of Apply Now, the budget pages will not be visible. The Program Information page lists the application questions that need to be completed. This screenshot is showing the first two questions of the application. The amount of questions you need to answer on this application will vary depending on what activities you select. Your responses will vary from checkboxes to narratives. Each narrative answer has a specific character limit. Once you complete the questions, make sure you save your answers. You may want to save after completing each question. As mentioned, the number of questions on the application will vary depending on the selections in question 3. The questions range from identifying populations impacted, teachers, administrators, or school counselors, to establishing need, and then selecting activities and elaborating on plans for those specific activities. There's also an assurance to align to the new mentoring standards once they become available, and the budget pages. We'll cover each question in the next few slides. First question is asking you to select what population these grant funds will support. For this question, you'll choose all populations that will be served within your proposal. The answer to this question will not impact the application score. Populations will need to be identified later for each selected activity. Question 2 is about establishing need. The question reads, to establish need for funding, identify one or more mentoring and/or induction local problem or problems of practice from your district. The description of your problems of practice should answer the following. What is the problem or problems? To which population, teachers, administrators, and school counselors does the specific problem or problems apply? Why is it currently a problem? What specific district data and evidence was used to identify this problem? It should be noted that the problem or problems of practice could address all 3 populations, teachers, administrators, school counselors. You may have a separate problem of practice for each population, or you may only address 1 or 2 populations. Some things to know about question 2. The answer is limited to 4,000 characters. The responses to this question will be evaluated based on how well the need is established, and how the problem is demonstrated using data and evidence. A high scoring answer will be one that describes a problem specific to the district, or if using a general problem, specifically defines how that problem directly affects the district, highlights unique characteristics or needs of the district that may not apply to all districts, including but not limited to size and type of school, if the district is a partnership district, or other demographic information. Clearly identifies the population affected, whether teachers, school counselors, and/or administrators, and explains the problem in detail by using specific district level data and evidence. Application question 3 asks you to select activities and interventions you plan to use to meet your needs and help mitigate identified problems. The menu of options is based off the list of acceptable activities from statute and includes providing stipends to mentors, purchasing books and other materials, as well as professional learning and training, staffing costs to cover time spent by both new and mentor educators dedicated to mentoring onboarding rather than being in the classroom or performing other job duties, contracting with education organizations to specifically provide mentoring for administrators, and other resources to support mentoring induction, which could include affinity groups, partnering with an education organization for mentoring for new teachers and new school counselors, a virtual platform to connect with mentors outside the district, etc. The selections here will apply to your entire application. Selecting an activity will trigger follow-up questions specific to that activity. If applicants do not select the activity here, there will not be a place in the application to explain, justify, or budget for the activity. The number of activities and interventions will not impact your application score. Scores will be impacted by answers to the questions specific to each activity or intervention. If you selected providing stipends to mentors in question 3, a specific set of questions will pop up for you to complete related to that question. Question 3A1 has you check the box of specific populations you plan to give a stipend to. Notice that this list is a little more extensive than the population questions as statute identifies these for stipends specifically. You may select all that apply. The list includes mentors of new teachers in their first 3 years and mentors of teachers and grow your own programs, mentors of new administrators in their first 3 years of that position and mentors of new administrators and grow your own programs, and finally mentors of new school counselors in the first 3 years and mentors of new school counselors and grow your own programs. Question 3A2 will also only be seen if stipends that were selected. The question reads, for each of the selected populations, detail the amount of the stipend and approximately how many people receive them. Couple of notes. There is a 1,500 character limit for this answer. Stipends should be listed in reasonable amounts. They may be based off percentages used for other stipends of Schedule B, but are not required to do so. Please provide a brief rationale for the amount. Make sure to provide an estimation of specific numbers and details for each population you selected. The number of people identified should also be reflected in the budget. Question 3A3 in this group of questions asks, what is the intended outcome of providing stipends, including how providing stipends will contribute to mitigating the described problem or problems of practice? There is a 2,000 character limit for this response. All 3 responses in this group will collectively be evaluated on the alignment between the activity and the established need, and the degree of impact this activity will have to mitigate the problem. High scoring answers for the specific response detail why the district is planning to provide stipends by explaining the intended outcome and showing the alignment between the practice and the established problem, and detail the degree of impact this practice will have on established problem by giving specific examples. Question 3B will only show on the application if books and materials were selected in question 3. The question asks you to detail what books and other materials are you planning to purchase with these funds, how these books and materials will be used, what populations will be served, and what is the intended outcome of using the books and materials, including how their use will contribute to mitigating the identified problem practice. Some helpful information to consider is that there's a 3,000 character limit. The response will be evaluated on alignment between the activity and the need and the degree of impact the activity will have on mitigating the problem. High scoring answer specifies the book or other materials and approximately how many items will be needed and why. Identifies the population served, explains the intended outcome, and shows alignment between the practice and problem and details the degree of impact. Question 3C and 3C2 are only answered if professional learning and training is selected in question 3. Question asks what professional learning or training will be used if known, what population of educators will be served, and what is the intended outcome of the professional learning or training, including how it will contribute to mitigating the identified problem practice. When answering this question, please provide as many specific details as are currently known. Like question 3B, this question will be evaluated on alignment and degree of impact. There will be a note on this question clarifying that in statute, it specifies that any professional learning purchased through these funds is in addition to professional learning requirements described under Section 1526 of the revised school code. Again, this was language in statute. Question 3C2 is just an assurance that you will adhere to that language. Question 3D is only if you selected staffing costs to cover release time for mentors and new educators to meet during the school day. The question reads, or the question asks you to detail how will the staffing costs be used to cover release time dedicated to mentoring and onboarding rather than performing other job duties. What population will be served and what is the intended outcome and how will the use of these staffing costs contribute to mitigating the identified problems of practice. For this answer, be as specific as possible by giving approximate numbers. In the template on our webpage, there is an example as to how to answer the first bullet. This response will be evaluated similarly to the other questions on alignment to the problem and degree of impact. Question 3E is if you selected partnering with an education organization to provide administrator mentoring. The question asks you to detail what education organization you plan to partner with and provide mentoring for administrators. Approximately how many administrators will be receiving the mentoring and what are the intended outcomes of your partnership, including how this partnership will help mitigate the problem practice. Response has a 3,000 character limit and will also be evaluated on alignment and degree of impact. A high scoring answer names the education organization that you're planning to partner with, lists out the approximate number of new administrators receiving the mentoring, specifies why the district is planning to partner with an education organization to provide administrator mentoring by explaining the intended outcome, showing the alignment between the practice and established problem, and details the degree of impact that partnering with this education organization will have on the established problem by giving specific examples. If other resources was selected as an activity, you will need to detail each additional resource you are hoping to provide. For each resource, please state the following. What is the additional resource that you plan to utilize for mentoring induction purposes? Examples include, but are not limited to, affinity groups partner with an outside organization to deliver mentoring to new teachers, school counselors, using a virtual platform, etc. What population of educators will the resource serve? And finally, what is the intended outcome of this resource, including how it helps to mitigate the problem of practice? Like the prior questions, 3F will be scored based on alignment to need and degree of impact. This question has a 3,000 character limit. As mentioned earlier, new mentoring induction standards are currently being created as part of an associated grant. These standards will be made available prior to the awarding of this grant. Question 4 is just an assurance that the mentoring induction practices used with these grant funds will be aligned to the new mentoring induction standards once they are available. After completing the questions, it is on to the budget section. As mentioned previously, this section will not appear in the left menu until you click Apply Now. Before we begin the budget section, one important note about the format. The Nexus application has been set up to provide a budget summary section at the top of the set of buttons on the left, but it will be the Add Budget Item section at the bottom that you will enter information into first. Because you'll add items, you won't have a summary of anything. With this said, we do recommend reviewing the directions on the budget summary screen first to understand how it works. And we also suggest filling in the contact information section beforehand and clicking Save when you're finished. This will save you a potential headache later. You'll want to come back to the budget summary screen several times to make sure your budget items are being entered and totaled correctly in the system. When you click the Add Budget Item button, you will immediately see some instructions at the top of the screen. Many people accidentally skip this. Please be sure you don't. Tells you a very important piece of the budget puzzle here, that to add items, you need to click the Add button on the top right, even if you are currently on the screen for an item you just entered and saved. There's no Add Budget Item button in the left menu. This can be confusing. Again, you're looking for the Add button, which we have also circled on the screen when looking to add any budget items. Once you add a budget item, you'll designate the appropriate function code using the pull-down menu. And you also have to enter in a description of the budget item. Be very clear in your description. You might know perfectly well what you're talking about, but our grant reviewers might not. When you enter in the dollar amount associated with the budget item, be very careful to use the correct object code column. If you have personnel to pay for, they need both salaries and benefits amounts. In addition, once you put in a dollar amount for salaries, you'll also have to put in either an FTE or the number of hours per week that person works. Remember to save every budget item you enter in, and then use Add button at the top to begin on the next item. The function codes used for this grant are listed on this slide. They include 135, occupational training, 212, supporting services, guidance, 221, improvement instruction, 241, office personnel, 281, planning, research, development, and evaluation, 283, staff personnel services, 289, other central services, 411, payments to other public schools in Michigan, 421, payments to other public schools outside Michigan, and 441, payments to other government entities. Jumping to the budget summary now. This will show you a summary of each parent function code that has been used. By the way, if you see a little exclamation point icon appear for any green button, that means you'll have to go to that section and correct the errors. The errors will be listed in the attention box to the upper right. Be sure to resave any section that you made corrections or updates to. The budget detail differs from the budget summary in that this shows each individual item using the table headers seen in the screenshot, including the given description, whereas the summary only shows each used function code and the total amount budgeted under that code, under the object code. This page does not require any saving, as meant as display only. Please review this page to ensure each entry is accurate and thoroughly described. Once you are done and have confirmed that there are no errors on your application, please submit it on the Submit Application section. If there are any parts that still need attention, a helpful document validation screen will pop up to guide you in making the last of the corrections needed. Now we'll briefly look at the resources we offer to assist you in making successful fiscal year 24 section 27H mentoring induction district support grant application. For general information about the grant, please visit our Section 27H Mentoring Grants website, which is screenshotted alongside a QR code to access the page. It has all the information you heard in this video plus more, including grant timeline information and an application template to draft responses. The grant application template available on our webpage provides background on the grant, presents each question within the application, provides space to draft a response, and also lists out several tips to produce high-scoring responses. It should be noted that this template is only for drafting. All final responses must be entered in the application nexus to be accepted. Also listed on our website are 3 separate opportunities to join us for office hours. Each session will last at least an hour and is an opportunity for anyone to drop in and ask questions they have on the grant application. These dates are currently set as March 4th from 9 to 10 a.m., March 13th from 1 to 2 p.m., and March 19th from 3 to 4 p.m. For Nexus account questions, please visit the Nexus website, which is screenshotted here along with a QR code to access the page. This site has the Nexus Security Access Form and guidance for creating a MyLogin account. As always, please email us with any questions you might have. We are here to help. Our email is mdeedworkforcegrants@michigan.gov. Please remember to follow us on social media for news and updates. Finally, a big thank you for accessing this video and working hard to make sure your application is accurate and complete. Hopefully you have found this video to be useful. We love getting feedback. Please use this QR code to fill out a brief survey to let us know how this presentation went for you. Thanks again.